A very good evening, friends. So, I hope you're all safe as well as healthy. Well, in this month, I have started a series on Index 7 that talks about the concept of cash flow statements. And in the previous two videos, what I've discussed is one was a basic introduction where we were talking in terms of what is a cash flow statement. But at the same time, in the next video, we also spoke about that a cash flow statement is reflecting the inflows as well as the outflow arising from three different kinds of activity. In this particular video, we just want to understand that when you're looking at the three kind of activities, one is operating, one is investing and financing. What is the basic thought process, what we need to keep in mind in terms of understanding that is this operating, is this financing, or is it investing in nature? Let's find this out with the help of definitions, what is given in India 7, that how do you distinguish between whether a given activity is operating, investing or financing in nature. जो बच्चे नवंबर 22 में अपने सीए फाइनल की तैयारी कर रहे हैं उनके लिए अनअकैडमी पर आ रहा है योद्धा बैच। आपको इन एग्जाम्स को एज अ वॉरियर फाइट करना है और इस युद्ध के अंदर आपकी पूरी तैयारी के साथ हम सब साथ जुड़े हैं। 9 मार्च से यानी कि वेडनेसडे से नवंबर 22 के बच्चों के लिए एक बैच शुरू होने जा रहा है जिसके अंदर आपके साथ इंडिया के टॉप एजुकेटर्स जुड़ेंगे और सीए फाइनल ग्रुप 1 के सभी सब्जेक्ट्स आपके इस बैच में कवर होंगे, जिसके अंदर लॉ में आपके साथ अमित पोपली सर, फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग में मैं आपके साथ जुड़ूंगा और एसएफएम में राहुल मलकान सर और ऑडिट में खुशबू सांगवी मैम। सबके टाइमिंग्स अलग अलग हैं। जैसे मैं अपने बैच की बात करूं तो मंडे टू सैटरडे मॉर्निंग 6 to 8 ये बैच होता है और क्लासेस आपकी बिल्कुल लाइव होती हैं। आप 100% लाइव क्लासेस अटेंड कर सकते हैं। यदि किसी वजह से आपकी क्लासेस मिस हो जाती हैं तो अनरिकॉर्डेड लेक्चर्स पर आपको एक अनलिमिटेड एक्सेस मिलेगा। रिकॉर्डेड लेक्चर्स को आप जितनी मर्जी बार चाहें व्यू कर सकते हैं। देयर आर नो रिस्ट्रिक्शंस ऑन नंबर ऑफ व्यूज। हर सब्जेक्ट के आपके पास मल्टीपल एजुकेटर्स हैं। डाउट सॉल्विंग सेशंस आपको मिलते हैं और साथ में आपको इसके अंदर प्रैक्टिस मॉक टेस्ट सीरीज भी मिलती है। एक सब्सक्रिप्शन में आपको ये सभी बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे। ऑल द 4 सब्जेक्ट्स विल बी कवर्ड इन वन सब्सक्रिप्शन इटसेल्फ। ये हमारे कुछ प्राउड लर्नर्स हैं जिन्होंने अनअकैडमी प्लेटफॉर्म पर क्लासेस ली और आप देख सकते हैं रैंक 1, रैंक 2, रैंक 3 और बहुत सी रैंक्स हैं। आप भी इसके अंदर शामिल हो सकते हैं, बस थोड़ी सी प्लानिंग और आप उस हिसाब से अच्छी रैंक्स अचीव कर सकते हैं। यदि आप ये सब्सक्रिप्शंस प्लान कर रहे हैं तो सीए फाइनल ग्रुप 1 के अंदर अलग अलग मंथ्स के प्लान्स हैं, जैसे कि 3 months, 6 months, 12 months एंड सो ऑन, जो आपके टाइमिंग को सूट करता हो, क्योंकि ये बैचेस नवंबर 22 और उसके आगे मई 23 के एंगल से भी आप ले सकते हैं। तो जो भी आपके टाइमिंग्स को सूट करता हो, बजट को सूट करता हो, डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में आपको इन बैचेस के लिंक्स मिलेंगे फॉर बोथ सीए फाइनल 1 एंड ग्रुप 2, जिन्हें आप प्लान कर सकते हैं और इन पर 10% डिस्काउंट भी ले सकते हैं। ये जो प्लान्स आपको दिए हैं इन पर यू कैन गेट अ 10% डिस्काउंट। मेरा कोड इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं CAKB10 और आपको इन पर डिस्काउंट्स मिलेगा। अगर दोनों ग्रुप्स आप प्लान कर रहे हैं कॉम्बो ऑफर में तो आपको थोड़ी सी और कॉस्ट कम बैठती है इन कॉम्बो ऑफर्स, और इसके अंदर भी आप जो भी ग्रुप प्लान करते हैं इन रेट्स पर आपको 10% डिस्काउंट मिलेगा बाय यूजिंग द कोड CAKB10। तो भाई इंतजार किस बात का है, फटाफट से प्लानिंग कीजिए और इस युद्ध को आपने जीतना है। लेट्स क्रैक इट। This chart is on the basis of the definitions which are given in India 7, and if you look at the definition of what is operating activity, it says principal revenue producing activities of the entity and other entities that are not investing or financing. And that's like, giving a negative definition that anything which is linked to the principal revenue producing activities, but at the same time, we can say other activities which may not be investing and financing. If you look at the investing activities, it says activities that result in acquisition and disposal of long-term assets and other investments not included in the cash equivalents. Interesting. And then it says financing activities are those that results in changes in the size and composition of the contributed equity and the borrowings of the entity. I think let's understand this in very simple terms. Let's begin with, first of all, the financing activities. I would say if there is any inflow or outflow which is linked to the capital structure of the company. Now, when you say a capital structure of the company, I would say it is either debt funds or equity funds. So any kind of movements, whether it is inflow or whether it is outflow arising out of debt equity financing, is supposed to be financing activity. So if there is issue of equity share capital, or let's say if there is a buyback, or let's say there is a long-term funds which have been raised, or there have been repayment of debts. So anything which is impacting the capital structure, typically the debt equity funds is financing activity in nature. If you look at the investing activities, I would say anything which is linked to, you can say the PPE and the intangibles. We can say the long-term assets are basically, you can say all the tangible and the non-tangible, the non-current assets. So whether it is a case of investment property, or it's a case of PPE, or it's a case of intangible assets. And we're also looking at investments. So whether you're investing in a subsidiary, associate, or a joint venture, or maybe an unrelated party, but anything which is linked to the long-term assets and the investment is investing activity. And if I were to look at operating activities, so I would say operating activities would be something, which is linked to the production, the operations of the business. So if you're engaged in sale of goods, or if you're engaged in any associated activity, and if there is any cost which is incurred in terms of production of goods, you might have paid wages and salary to the employees, you might have incurred administrative costs, you might have incurred selling and distribution, even the taxes which you pay on your business income is operating. But of course, taxes can also be sometimes investing and financing, because they could relate to those kind of activities. But per se, if any taxes are paid on the business operations, that is also operating. So I would put it like this, that if there is anything linked to the operations, operating activity, anything linked to the fixed assets, used in a very common sense. So anything linked to the fixed assets and investments is going to be something which is investing, and anything which is linked to the capital structure, debt equity, is supposed to be financing activity. So this is how we distinguish the activities. And another important thing, can there be a possibility that in a given transaction that there are two kinds of activities? Yes. There could be an example, like for example, if you purchase an asset on a hire purchase, then the installment which you're paying is comprising of the principal portion, which is investing. But the interest which you're paying is supposed to be financing activity. So generally, all the activities will fall under one. Any transaction will fall in one activity. But this is one of the good examples where a given activity would comprise of both investing and financing components. Isn't that pretty interesting indeed? That's all in this particular video. Thank you for watching, and wait for some more interesting videos coming on India 7. Bye-bye and take care.